Hello, dear ones. I want to start today with the question asking you, how comfortable are you with not knowing, and specifically what is going on in the world? So, are you feeling comfortable being in a place where you probably don't really know what's going on out there? I know that most people, they are trying to know something, and the place that most of us get to know something is through the news, the internet, YouTube, social media, the places where a lot of this information is coming from. And the confusing part, of course, which I have made some videos about in the past, is that there is just as much quote unquote evidence that people here are right as there is that people here are right. And that's where the division that we are experiencing is coming from. That's kind of the source of it. So, like I asked before, how is that possible that two equally opposing truths, information are there? And it depends on which ones you believe in. And then you will make a case to the other side that you are right and they're wrong. And then, of course, they pull up their evidence and on it goes. I have talked quite a bit about that already. Very confusing, very confusing. How is that possible? And how many people are trying to cling on to something, whatever side, because there's a part of us that wants to know what is going on, and rightly so. It's not like a judgment or something. Of course, looking at what is going on in the world, we want to know what's going on so we can prepare for safety or prepare for something that we don't know what is. But in our minds, based on all the information we have been taking in, we think that, oh, if this has happened, then I need to prepare this way. And if this is going to happen, I need to prepare this way. And that causes so much anxiety and uncertainty. And when we go to this place where we are, let's say, terrified, because I know so many people are terrified, we grasp harder to know something and we want this to be right, or we want this to be right, and we hold on to it like, nobody's business, like it's a matter of life and death. And that is what it feels like to a lot of people. I do not know if any of them are true. I thought I did for a while, and then you see the opposite, and then you see the opposite. So you can go back and forth. And to me, that's been a very interesting journey to just observe this. Once I got more and more out of this, like, well, this must be true, but no, that's true. No, but that doesn't make sense. And then at a certain point, I had to let it all go because it makes no sense, right? It does not make sense. How is that possible? And that is very, very hard for most people to let go and not know. Just take a moment and maybe ponder this question. What is it like for you when you don't know? When you don't know what is going on in the world right now. Let's use that one because it's so alive in so many people. Can you for a moment take off your hands of whatever information you believe in? Is it even possible Do you want to hold on to it so you can be right, so you can follow the right direction to make sure that doomsday is not happening if we choose this direction? So you see, it's this back and forth, and the fear is like so big. And do you know what we do when we're in fear, in deep fear? Well, we can freeze, but we can also lash out, right? And the more in fear we are, the more we lash out and get divided. And the split gets bigger and bigger. And we as a people get weaker and weaker because we are fighting against each other based on opposing information, opposing sources of information. This is what is happening, and it's not good. And that's why I keep inviting us all to take our hands off. And then all the emotions that are behind that, those need to be dealt with. Those need to be met. Those need to be healed in whatever way is right for you and everyone. There are many ways to do healing work, and we need to pick the one that resonates with us. So, taking off our hands when we really think we know something, and then that leaves you in a space where you don't know anything. One of the scariest things for a mind, right? It's the mind that thinks it's scary. And then the mind sends all these fear hormones and fear chemicals into our bodies, and we completely lose touch with the only place where true knowing exists and where our actions really need to come from if we want to live in a different reality, in a different experience. So let's just come back to this place here of not knowing. Do you even know what it feels like when you don't know something? Because we have been so conditioned that we need to know something all the time. Need to know what's right. We need to know our next step. We need to know this and we need to know that. And for many people, it is terrifying. I think I shared that once a while ago, where somebody came to me. This is when I still lived in Denmark, and we were taking a massage class, and the teacher was teaching it. And I said, I asked him a question because I didn't know. I think I didn't quite understand what he was showing. And then he showed me, and everything was fine. And then one of the participants afterwards, she was like blown away that I had the courage to admit that I didn't know. And my jaw dropped. My jaw simply dropped. Like, what? So it's a common thing that many people are afraid to admit that they do not know, because it feels like we're in danger when we don't know. We're out of control. And when we go to the mind where we think we know things, there is a false sense of safety. And we want to avoid that. No, we want to stay there. We want to avoid the unsafety of not knowing at all cost. So the tendency is always to go back in the head. And I see that a lot, of course, in my work with clients, that inviting them down to feel their experience can be very scary if you're not used to that, if that's a new concept. And then they go up in the head, and then they think they know what they feel. And it's really sweet, because it's like an apple knows what an orange is, right? It doesn't work that way. So the invitation today is to be curious and maybe to explore what it is like to not know what is going on. Can we just take a moment and just imagine yourself peeling off your hands of whatever information or whatever you think you know or whatever you believe because this person said it and you trust them, would it be okay for a moment to let it go? And the only place that lets go is really in the mind. And as I've said so many times, the mind is the matrix. This is where the matrix functions through and as. The matrix does not want to lose your captivity. So that's why it's like a scare tactic, that it's dangerous to not know. So I'm going to ask you to be really brave and courageous if this is new for you. Let's give it a try. Let's just say to the matrix, get behind me. You may know that expression, get thee behind me. I want to know what life is like when I'm not being pumped with all this information that I hold on to. What is here? Just take a deep breath into your body, whether there's fear coming up or maybe relief, anything in between. Anything goes. It's your experience that we're looking for. It's your doorway. And that doorway is not up here by knowing something, it's coming in here, where the knowing is very, very different. I think there was also a quote in the Bible that says, your thoughts are not God's thoughts or something. Your thoughts are not my thoughts. So the thoughts that we're identified with are not divine thoughts. The thoughts, at least this is how I experience it. That's all I can say, right? The divine thoughts or God thoughts, that's not like something that's happening out here. It's something that is a sensation, a feeling, an intuition. And we can't do a scientific study. Well, we can do it, but it's not something that is tangible. Intuition is not tangible to the five senses, but it's very, very, very tangible to the soul sense. So we do experience what is true from a much different place than up here. So when you let go of trying to know or thinking you know, it creates a space, right? It's like, wow, I don't know anything. I don't know anything. How is that for you? Can you hang on to that for a moment? Can you just let yourself steep into that space where you don't know anything? And notice what it's like. Is your mind trying to know something? Maybe even trying to know something about not knowing something? Because the mind will do that. And we need to just see that and notice it. And it's like, oh, here we go again. I'm just going to not know, even if it's just for 30 seconds, just out of curiosity. It's like doing a little science project with yourself, a little experiment. It's like, oh, what's life like when I don't know anything? Where does that leave me? And then breathe into that. Breathe into that. Get to know it, because there is something there. And every time we go out there to know something, we miss this. We miss what is really here, which is not part of the matrix or the mind. And in this place, as you may experience right now, there is a sense of calm, a sense of presence, a sense of peace, it's very tangible. And all we need to do is put our attention here, here, but not here. And then just explore it, get to know it. And then again, in my own experience, there's just more and more knowing and more trusting that, oh, here's something. Let me see if I can just be with that and allow that to guide me, to inform me. And when it comes to what's going on in the world right now, I have a sense of we're moving into some challenging times where a lot is going to change. And it is gonna, we are being asked to let go of what we know because that may all crumble. My sense is that what we're seeing in the world is just a little bit of the top of the iceberg, and that there's so much underneath it that we cannot see yet. But if you are tuning in, you can sense that something is going on. And if we keep grasping onto what we have been reading about, been hearing, then we miss this underlying something. And is it possible to just sense into something is going on, but I don't know what it is? Then you're listening to something deeper where there's something going on, but I don't know what it is. I can just feel that something is going on. Something is unraveling under this circus, this big circus show that we see out there. And then stay with that. And if it's possible for you, make that your abiding place a lot of the day, many times a day. And little by little, you'll get hints of something, or it may be reflected out in the world as something that resonates with this. So there might be more information coming, but it's not coming from here, and it's certainly not coming from the matrix. It's coming from something that you resonate with. It's not coming because you're afraid and you want to do something, because the fear is all here. The fear is being pumped into us through all the information and the news and all the weird things that are going on out there. But that's not what we're talking about. It's here. And the more we can learn to rest in here before whatever is unraveling becomes more obvious, then we have a place to rest in and to be guided by. Because it's not like we have to go through a lot of turmoil just for the fun of it. It is really it's like when a birth happens, it's incredibly messy. And this is a birth. We are giving birth to a new earth, to a new way of being. And in order for that new way of being to come into manifestation, the old has to die. There is no way around it. And we do not know how the old is going to die, but we can see that there's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot being revealed, and we don't know if what is being revealed is true, because the next day you'll see the opposite. So this is where we're living in this flip-flop. The best we can do is to not join the flip-flopping. And I know it's challenging because it's very seductive, isn't it? But the best we can do is at least to practice, to say, I'm not going to try and know something. I'm going to let it go. And I'm going to go inside to my inner divinity, to my source, my true source, and let it reveal to me and let it show me how I can best navigate through these next few years or whatever it is. And then stay with that and learn to trust this more than that. And many people will try and pull you out of this and say, you can't do that. We need to do this. We need to do that. And that is very possible. When this tells me to do this or that, then I trust it. If somebody's trying to argue and wants to be right about what they believe, and then they want me to do that, if I don't feel a resonance, I don't do it. It is really that simple, but I also have to say I've been practicing this for many, many years, and it's kind of become my thing. That's also what I help my clients with, to really learn to trust and be who we really are, be sovereign in our divinity, and know that we can trust that. So that is kind of becoming more and more second nature to me. And I'm very happy about it, to be honest with you, because there's a lot of peace in that. There's a lot of calm, and there's less and less interest in being pulled out of that. So the question is, how comfortable are you with not knowing? It's a real introspective question. It's not just like, oh, I feel comfortable. It's like, no, I don't like that. That's all heady stuff. It's not your experience. Like, how comfortable are you with that? And are you willing to explore it? Because that is your doorway in to your divine, right? It's the mystery. The mystery is not known, it's unknown. So we need to find ourselves in that place of not knowing. Then we're in the mystery. And then who knows what's going to unfold from there. If you want to, my book called Imagine Being Kind to Yourself has a chapter on not knowing. I'll put down the link in the description. And there's also a meditation about not knowing that comes with the book. So if you order the book, you'll have access to that meditation, and that will just take you into the experience. I guide you into that experience to be curious and explore what it is like to not know. It's really good.